question and tell us as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the East Midlands isn't really you can't. There's nothing that connects the East Midlands. It's a little bit like North East Derbyshire. You know, North East Derbyshire is made up of two main towns, Donford and Clare Cross, and then ex-pit villages, basically. It doesn't have a centre even. It goes around Chesterfield, which is a constituency of its own. So the fact that we're places, North East Derbyshire has nothing in common, for example, with Leicester. Leicester's a massive city. We lump together the East Midlands because, I mean, we did lose seats there, sadly. 36 Labour gains in 2017, 6 losses, and 3 of them were in the East Midlands, certainly. I do think, it is, every community and every area is individual, and we've got to take that approach when we are looking at what when we are saying about the North. There is, the North is as varied as, we have nothing in common with Harrogate, that's in the North. It's a very different town to that. So yeah, there is still a divide, without a doubt, and I think this ties in with the question regarding Cumbria as well, and having a clear message. What was really good about the Peterborough election, and congratulations for being part of that campaign. We were all waiting with bated breath for that result, believe me. I mean, you took it down, didn't you? You had to get it down to what were the local issues, really. That is the key thing. And it was education, crime, and fly tipping. And that was repeated over and over and over. That is what people were saying mattered to them on the doorstep, and that is what the campaign was run on. And that was run with a very clear message, as you're saying, what we will deliver on education. We've got a great policy there in terms of what we can do in government. What we will do about crime and policing. Again, the Tories are laughable. We're going to rob you of 21,000 police and then give you 20 back. That's short-changing, and fly tipping, that is a real councillor thing, isn't it? But this is what matters to people. So if we have those clear messages, and we will have a brilliant manifesto to go out with, but unless we localise it in that way, and that is up to us to be able to get in those messages now, and doing that. Financial support for PPC, and I'm just looking up at Stuart Brady, another PPC, up at the back there, who was going, yeah, it's hard. It's kind of like you do have to make choices. I've made financial choices myself. I live on my own. I don't have anybody's bankrolling me. I have to work full time. I want to be in my constituency every minute of the day, but I can't because I won't be able to pay my bills. Whether that falls to the Labour Party to pay, I don't know. That isn't in place there now. But what I would say, I'm not making any asks, but I do think that there is a barrier because I'll be honest, I don't have children, I don't have anybody to support, and I've got great comrades who are single parents who are doing this and having to work full time. I don't know how they manage, I really don't, and I've got utmost respect for them. But you shouldn't have to struggle to be able to be of your class and represent your class as an MP. You should not financially be, held back from doing that. So I don't know.
Just to add to that, my selection to become the Metro mayoral candidate is 4 months long. The whole campaign, once the selection's over with, will be 6 months. But that means 4 months where you're having to fund your own selection campaign. It's longer than electing the Prime Minister, it's longer than electing the leader of the Labour Party. I'm sure it was an admin error somewhere, but the impact of that is actually quite hard. I'm having to work a job, I'm having to run a house, and I'm having to run a campaign where at the moment, I don't even have the weight of the Labour Party behind me because it's an internal campaign. So I think it needs thinking out, and I would definitely agree with everything that Chris said. We can't have, I can't bankroll myself. I'm not a self-made millionaire. I am a working class woman, and so we have to. Fortunately, I have my trade union behind me, and if it didn't have a trade union, it would be a very different situation. I just wanted to sort of come up the comment that you made about the what country was it? Did you say? In Portugal, and actually interesting that Podemos in Spain do something very similar. They run drug treatment communities, they run food banks. And again, it's like if you're a newer party or a party trying to break through, then you have to understand, you have to find ways to reach your demographics. I think one of the things we don't think about as much though is how we use new communities in terms of social media to do that as well. There are a lot of groups that are out there that we as Labour people need to be really present in, and it could be simple things like the Friends of the Park group, or a school bus campaign, anything that we can find, any places, either physical spaces or online spaces. We need to populate them with our people, populate them with our ideas, populate them with the way that we will change society, but we have to do that initially by just being mates and turning up and being present. And it takes me back to kind of John's point though about the way that the Labour Party is currently structured. It feels like if you join the Labour Party, what you need to do is turn up to meetings and go and knock on doors and give out a leaflet. And some point in our future, that has to change. We can't continue in that way because we spend so much time in meetings that we have so little time to do any good in our communities. So I think the future of the Labour Party, the things that we should all be championing for, and maybe one day it'll come to that conference floor, but a real democratic reform of how the Labour Party is structured, I think is absolutely needed.
Brilliant. Are there any more questions? Couple more? One there.
I just have a question. I'm finding my phone. I come from a northern working class community called Old Trafford. It's just by a stadium and a cricket ground. And I was raised in a majority BAME part of Old Trafford. We're racially divided quite a lot there. There's white part, black part, and a brown part, and you stick to your own part. What would you do to help communities rebuild together and reunite the working classes, because we're all being screwed. All of our benefits are being cut. We're being literally attacked left and right and centre from a Tory government. The kids aren't having new shoes, the kids aren't getting healthy food, and it's heartbreaking because as kids, I played out with some those same kids. I moved on to a new area, I go back to those areas and most communities are still the same, barriers aren't breaking down, and that's one of the really big issues which I feel like Labour's failing to address right now, because you have commentators like Paul Embry going out there and talking about the traditional working class, and it's exclusionary because for us, for my communities, the BAME working class were part of what has built Britain up. We came and we gave our labour, so it's quite hurtful for us, and to see that no one is really paying attention to this issue of helping us come together as a working class against Tories and not just dividing ourselves up along racial lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, one of the really upsetting things that I've sort of experienced in the last few years is the increased racial tensions, and it's absolutely evident. I was just at a local shop recently, and a guy actually walked in, and I witnessed the most extreme, horrendous, casual racism. When I say casual, he said it in a very casual language, but the actual language, he said it in a casual way, but the language was abhorrent. And I think the Labour Party again needs to create safe spaces where we can, we should be bringing communities. My Labour Party locally is still very white, and we need to address that by getting people from those communities into our party, but we also need to go to them. And so I think if we can start to organise ourselves, even within our own Labour Party, that becomes more representative, then we start with ourselves and then we move out.
Chris?
Yeah, I'd completely agree, isn't it? It's finding that common ground, and the common ground that we all have is that the Tories are bloody, they're beaten us senseless. And I think that's really, what we've got to do. But we can't just imagine people are just going to get it like that. We've got to be in the heart of all our communities. And I agree really with, the Labour Party. My CLP is white, very white. You know, I mean, and you know, and we're going out as the Labour Party, knocking on doors. You know, it gives a certain impression. So we start with ourselves. We you know, use that common link that we have because, you know, our class we're all getting attacked by the Tories in the same way. The rise in open racism at the moment is abhorrent. I mean, it is absolutely unprecedented. And I have, you know, sisters and brothers who tell me they have never had any racial abuse in their communities before, and they're now getting it. It has to be called out. And, you know, we have to call it out every time we see, you know, a Prime Minister exploiting it and being like that himself. We have to call it out when we've got the President of the most powerful country in the world making comments, making it legitimising, you know, these comments. You know, we've got to call that out, and we must do it as a party. We need to do it loud and clear.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your questions. They've been really brilliant. I think this is one of the most interesting panels, definitely, this conference so far. We're gonna have some summing up now from both our speakers.
How do I sum all of that up? This has been such a wealth of conversation. I guess I just want to end with this, and we know it. Let's remind ourselves of the truth. You know, Labour didn't crash the economy, the bankers did. The EU didn't change the welfare system, the Tories did. The community centres are closing down because our current government doesn't believe in community. The hospitals are on the brink because the money men want to sell it off to America. The planet is burning, literally burning, and we are being distracted by parliamentary chaos. This is the truth. You know, it's not the EU, it's not the migrants, it is blatant turbo bandit capitalism that is running amok, and it's devastating local communities, it's devastating the planet itself. And so we need to get our message out there through every single possible route. This isn't a time for taking things easy. I want to say this, and I don't say it lightly. The future of our nation and the planet is at stake by what we choose to do in the next few years. You know, there is a time and a place, and the time is now for action. You know, if we're feeling the burden, let's turn that to power. If we're feeling the heartbreak, let's turn that to vision. And if we're feeling the anger, let's turn it to action. Let's get out there on those streets, let's get into those community centres, let's set up community groups if they're not there already, because, you know, we cannot let Boris Johnson, right-wing nationalist power win. We have to win. We have to win our communities back, and we have to win this nation back, because I hate to think what will happen if we don't.
We are so very close. Yes. We've never been closer, and we have not got to mess it up. And when I say we've not got to mess it up, I mean our party. We have got to come out of this conference with a message of unity. That is so vital to what will be happening when we are out in the next few weeks, probably, fighting to be able to govern this country. And that's what I want to see, you know, coming out here. Unity between us all as members, and unity behind our leader. We have got to have that. Because otherwise, if we are ripping ourselves apart during and after this conference, then we are going to throw away a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And we cannot do that to people that have been suffering 9 years and longer in some circumstances of having their public services robbed of funding. Schools, you know, some of the schools in my area have lost £415 per pupil in the last 4 years. We owe it to them. You know, we have got some fantastic policies, and let's make that the news story. We won't get it from the media, but it is up to us to do that. And the way we do that is unifying together and unifying behind Jeremy.
Yeah.
For this event. Thank you so much for our brilliant panellists with such great speakers, and thank you to Unite the Union who sponsored this event, because it couldn't happen without them. I hope you all carry on reading Labour List, subscribe to the email, and hopefully we'll get some more comment pieces from these two as well. Thank you.